When you're inauthentic, a piece of you dies. Have you ever had one of those moments where you see someone you find attractive and you have that urge to go talk to them, to strike up a conversation? Or you see a stranger and something about them makes you want to compliment them, maybe on their hair or what they're wearing, whatever it may be. Or you're talking to someone who's close to you and they overstep one of your boundaries and you have that urge to speak your truth, to tell them that you don't wish to be treated that way. But in those moments, if you don't act on that authenticity, if you don't tell the other person how you're feeling right then and there, if you don't go approach that person you find attractive, if you don't share that compliment with a stranger, or if you don't speak to that boundary with your close friend or family member, whoever it may be, have you ever noticed how it feels like a piece of you dies in those moments? That's your authenticity dying from not being expressed. It's a deep part of you that's feeling like it's being neglected because you're not expressing it, you're not speaking to it, you're not sharing your truth with the world. This is really important, guys. This is why I'm always a huge proponent for being authentic as much as possible, because even though at times it can be scary, we all know the reasons why we won't be authentic from time to time. It's because we're afraid usually. We're afraid of rejection in the case of approaching that attractive stranger. Or, yet again, with the compliment thing, we're afraid of either getting rejected or them perceiving us as weird. And in the case of a boundary or expressing a boundary to someone who's close to us, we're afraid of conflict, of creating tension in that relationship with them. But if we're constantly letting our fear control us like this, we're never going to express our authentic self, that deep part of, our true nature, should I say, with other people. It's like the deepest part of who you are at the core. If you never express that, you are not going to be happy. And you're also not going to have as great of relationships as you could have. Because if you constantly let people walk all over your boundaries because you're afraid to have them, to speak to them, to set them with other people, well, of course you're going to be treated like crap because you're not telling people how you wish to be treated. So, as much as possible, strive to not let your authenticity die in those moments. Even though it requires courage, have that courage to speak your mind, to speak your truth. Go approach that stranger. Even though, there's a chance of rejection. Rejection is not the end of the world. If they like you, that's awesome. You could create something special with them. If they don't like you for whatever reason, oh well, at least you showed up and you spoke your truth and you didn't allow your authenticity to die in that moment. Same thing with giving strangers compliments. I can't really think of any situations I've ever had where giving a stranger a compliment didn't work or where it turned out poorly. That just doesn't really happen. Most people, when you share a compliment with them, you make their day, especially if it's a compliment for a guy. Us men are starved for compliments. I can't even really think of many examples of how many times I've been complimented by strangers in person. Now, granted, online, a lot of you are awesome and you share compliments with me online, but that's very different. I feel like it's easier for most people to do that. But in person, I've gotten very few of them in my lifetime. So I remember quite a lot of the situations where it happened, but there are very few of them. So share compliments with strangers. You'll make their day, maybe even their decade. So you just never know how you could impact other people. And then, of course, share and express your boundaries with the people you care about. They're not going to know how you wish to be treated if you don't speak to it. As an adult now, my relationship with my parents has changed a lot because now I'm finally expressing those boundaries that I was too afraid to express when I was younger. And obviously they probably wouldn't have really listened to me. Very few parents are at that level where they would allow their child to tell them how they wish to be treated. It's unfortunate. That should be something that's more normalized, but it's not. Parents have to take that position of authority. And there's good and bad. It's a very nuanced situation, so I won't even dive into that. But now as an adult, I can learn, or I know how to express those boundaries in healthy ways, even if at times, it does kind of upset my parents, because there are situations where my boundaries, they don't understand them. But hey, if I'm telling them I don't like to be treated a certain way, it doesn't matter if they don't understand it. I'm telling them I don't like that behavior, so it's in their best interest to listen. And yeah, that's all you can do, guys. Just be authentic as much as possible, and the right people will listen and they'll treat you better. But just in general, do not let your authenticity die in those moments where you feel like you need to express your truth, but then you decide not to. Stop doing that. Don't let your authenticity die. Anyway, I sound like a broken record, so I'm going to end this video here and stop repeating myself. I truly hope you enjoyed this one. If you like content like this, be sure to subscribe for more. Otherwise, the easiest way you can help me out is just to throw a like and a comment on the video for the algorithm, and I will see you guys in the next one. Arrivederci!